Hey, welcome in the Cat Cast. Cat Kennison here again. We've got some more video from that church incident where apparently people are going into this church. I'm still trying to understand it, and trying to get people like into their cause, I guess, is what they're doing, and very spitefully. And what I've noticed is the one person working for CNN, or used to, I don't know if he still does, Don Lemon, he goes up and he starts talking to the pastor, which I'm going to show you all this, and I'm just doing a little pre-context here. And the issue I'm having is he says, "Don't you think Jesus would be for this, for this?" And you're not supposed to take the Lord's name in vain. And what people think sometimes that has to do with swearing. And the words we have now did not exist back then, but sure, it's the connotation of swearing with the Lord's name would be bad if you're used, but you could use any word. You could say shoot. And if you mean the S-H-I-T word, then the connotation is the same. What I think the commandment, and it's just going on my personal belief, what I think the commandment actually is you're not supposed to speak for the Lord. So this kind of incident here, because we never had an incident where people illegally went into a country and Jesus had to speak on this, I don't know if we are going to be able to make an interpretation on how Jesus would do this. But I do not think, me personally, I do not think Jesus would be in favor of people breaking the law and then other people saying, well, you can get away with breaking this law. I have an issue with that. Now, people will point to other things and they'll say, well, you think this law is not right. And they might have a point there. There are laws that I disagree with. But on immigration law, you're going to have to make a point that recognizes that if you don't have a border to a country, you have no country. If you just let everybody and their mother in, you will oversaturate the country, and it just can't handle it. You also collapse other countries that these people are all coming from, if they're workers. Now, if they're lazy bums, then it doesn't hurt those other countries. But if they're actually workforce, I remember I was hearing that cigars were getting really expensive because the workforce was all moving north now, because they're all hand rolled or something, and there were less people down there to roll them, meaning the wages went up or whatever. And so I'm like, it starts to collapse other countries. But most of the people that are coming are freeloaders. They don't want to work. They want to rob, steal, cheat. They're not looking for the American dream as you would look for it. They're just looking for a free ride. That's why they're coming. And that's the issue that most of us have. Most of the people that like that work and have good ethics and stuff, they want to stay in their home country because that's where they've been their whole life, and they have family there, and they like it, and tradition, and all that. The only reason people leave it is because either it sucks really bad, or they want to be lazy bums. And I can understand it sucking really bad too. But there are other people that get in line and do this right. And why should we take everybody's that can't support themselves anymore? You know, when we were building a country back in the day, it's a little bit different than when we're an established country now and people want to come to us because we're a superpower. Before we weren't. And people are like, well, I just want to get away from this country that's oppressing me. Or maybe a chance at a new life. Or freedom. I want to pray. I want my religion. And that's what we're going to see right here. We left, most of the people came over here for freedom of religion. And now we're going to watch some video where some people are interrupting a church service because of their belief that we should let everybody in. And they try to push and say, well, this is WWJD. This is what Jesus would do. What would Jesus do? This is it, they're saying. Well, you don't know that. And a lot of these people aren't even Christians. And they want to pretend, though, that they know what Jesus would be for, you know? And I'm like, man, the arrogance and entitlement on these people when I don't even know for sure what God, and I never want to claim that I know exactly. I can have in my mind an idea, but I never am going to speak for the Lord. And I always want to make that very clear to the Lord. I'm never speaking for him. I speak for how I feel that the Lord I love would be. But I'm not speaking for him. And, you know, why is it these people's job to come into somebody's church and attack them? Like, should we come to wherever they go and attack them for not standing up for babies' lives? You know, because I could say, do you think Jesus is okay with abortions? And what would Don Lemon say then? Well, yeah, women got it right, cha-cha. You know, I could be like, I can turn this right back around on you. So don't pretend to be Christian and then, you know, try to use it against me like it's some kind of thing. Okay? Now, when an abortion person, stupid anti-abortion person tries to blow up an abortion clinic, I'm going to say it's stupid. You don't kill people when you're against killing people. Okay? If you're against murder, you don't murder people. And you don't destruct stuff. You know, you change people's minds by telling them that's a life. You don't want to kill it. All right? What they're doing here, we're going to go to it now because I gave you plenty of context. If you've seen an earlier video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what they're doing here is trying to attack people's character, their belief system, their integrity. And it's exactly what my own brother did to me. And I'm getting a little sick of it. You know, how they talk all high and mighty about how they follow science, but then they think a man can be a woman. Can a man have a baby? Can a man have a baby? Can he carry it for 9 months? Does he have a place to gestate it? Does he have a womb? You know, I want to ask him questions like that. You know? Because if you can't, then you're not. Okay? I'm not going to say that, you know, an infertile person is not a lady. She still has a womb. She had the ability to carry a baby. There's just some reason it doesn't work right, you know, once in a while. That happens. It's very sad. Okay? And that's why we're pro for helping people get pregnant other ways when needed. We're even talking about paying for it, you know? Because we know it's important to people to have their own child if they can. You know? We know that. But we also don't believe in killing. Now, I got off onto a tangent like I always do. But this is important stuff here. So, because this is why we left. A lot of us came here for freedom of religion, you know, and we don't want our freaking church service interrupted by freaking yakas, yo-yos, that think that we need to be doing something. Because maybe I should come and interrupt them when they're doing stuff, if they think this is cool. I said, this is so ridiculous. It's so beyond the pale. If you went to a concert, if you went to a speaking event, any other thing, and you tried to pull these shenanigans, you're getting arrested, you know? But here, it's all like, okay, you know? I'm sorry. This is absurd. So we're going to watch this, okay? And I'm going to be talking about it. This is good. I love this content. Let's go.
if someone could convince themselves that they had the moral high ground because they were protesting ICE, how do they convince themselves they're the good guy when they're going after everyday Americans?
Jabba!
That's what happened yesterday.
Yeah!
At St. Paul Church.
Right here. Look at this. Watch the video.
Sunday service, and we just got some new video.
Where are you? Where are you? Where
Look at him.
are you?
He's yelling at the pastor. He's like, this is a house of God.
Fighting for the humanity, standing for our people. Where are
Standing for your people.
You got your
Look at that girl. Leave them alone. Hey, he's not going to interact with you because this is what you want.
Of course, Don Lemon.
These people are shameless. Shameless.
The agitators. He tried to make the case
ridiculous.
to the church's pastor that Jesus would be on board.
Yeah, here we go.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ. I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me. We're here to work.
He said, be very respectful, but please don't push me. You see how close he is to the other guy? I'm like, dude, how about you hand me the mic and I'll hold it, okay? You don't need to be all in my space like this, okay? He's like within a foot of his face right here. Go back here and how close he is. You don't need to push me. Look at how close you are to me. I want you to get back a little bit. Like 3 feet. I at least want as much room as my arms from you, okay? Unless you're a quiet talker and I can't hear you, and then I might get in close. You know? Who gets in closer than arm's length like this? You got a long arm. Extend your arm out with your mic. Look how he's super close with. You see how his hand is super close. You can extend your arm a little. You don't have to be like this. Then you're gonna be like this. Extend your arm. You know why he's pushing you? You're in his face. You're accusing him. You're attacking him. You're not interviewing him here. Is this an interview? I've never, normal interviews, you're like not dead-eyed on the person. Let's go back. Look at how in the guy's face he is. Like, I can still see the other guy's eye. I can't see Don Lemon's eye at all because he is so in that guy's face. You know? This is not right, okay? Jesus would not like this. Just my opinion. But come on, man. Coming into a service where they're worshiping God and like, what are you out on the street getting that good lady? Yeah, watch out there getting killed like Renee Good because we're not stupid. What do you mean? Why aren't we? Because we're not stupid. We believe in law and order. It's not just a TV show to us, you know? It means something. He looks like a crazy. All you TDSers look like crazies to me now. You're freaking so insane about this stuff. You know? Was I going crazy when I seen a senile man like Biden up there? And I'm like, oh my God. We look like idiots, man. I can imagine us getting nuked and nothing happening because these people are so idiots, you know? And I didn't go crazy. But this other side has people so amped up, they think the end of the world is going to come. They think he's Hitler, the Antichrist. He is the worst person of our generation possible. But as soon as he's gone, it's going to be on to Vance and Rubio. They're the worst. See, this is what the Democrats have created. They didn't want you hating somebody because of religion. So now they're doing it race and economic. All right? So, this is why. This is what it's all about. It's meant to divide everybody. But really, it's unifying. It's unifying our side. Now, your side is unified as well. But it's unified destruction. Like, not logic and common sense. Where we are like Spock. You are like Han Solo. Let's go. Spock's all there. Let me think here. like Data, I'm wielding my mind. Han Solo's like, I couldn't think of a Star Trek one that's as crazy. Let's go with Han Solo. I had to go with a Star Wars one. All right. Let's go back to what we're watching. Chava Cha. Sorry about the interruption. But like I said, he's in his close space. Now the pastor, let's see how the pastor does with Don Lemon. A guy who's not religious, but all of a sudden comes in and tries to tell you what your God believes. I just love it. Are you a religious man? No, but I know what your God believes, but you're not even religious. Yeah, but I know. How do you know? 'Cause I know. How do you know? I know. Cat, you're off the hook. I know, Java.
Worship Jesus. That's why we're here.
To worship Jesus.
That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding and
We're about
Understanding of what?
We're about spreading the love of
You
Jesus.
interrupting the service?
as a
No one
Christian?
is willing to talk.
Lemon says he was just doing his job.
Spreading the love of Jesus,
But did you try to talk to them as a
no one
Christian?
is willing to talk.
Lemon says
Can you
he
try
was
to talk
just
to them?
doing his job.
I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there. We were there chronicling.
See, now he's
protests.
worried.
Once the protest started in the church, we did an act of journalism, which was report on it and talk to the people who were involved, which included the pastor, members of the church, and members of the organization. That's it. It's called journalism.
No, it's not.
Doesn't look like any form of journalism I'm familiar
Yeah.
with, where you are now one of the agitators.
You were part of it.
Disrupting a service.
Yeah.
Disrupting worship. The DOJ is now investigating these protesters for preventing people from exercising their religious freedom.
He wasn't like asking, what do you think of these people being here? What's this all about? He was like, well, don't you think that Jesus would be on our side? That's not reporting, sir. When did it become reporting to start being on one of the other sides and then stick your hand in? You should be like, what is going on here? Can you tell me what's going on? All these people came in, they start shouting like profanities and crazy people. We don't really know what's going on. Apparently, they think we should be out like that Renee Good person, acting like crazy people in the streets, and we're just trying to worship our God here, not get involved in whatever your people want to do. We're not even part of it. We didn't even do a fundraiser for ICE, or we weren't pro ICE, or no. We don't even know why they're here. Really. All right, they just came in here. Yeah, they just came in here, started attacking us, yelling at us, and we're like, what are we supposed to do here? Even my friend Kat over there, he's watching, and he's like, what the hell do these people do that now all these people are in here yelling at them? They're trying to start a war, like the Civil War. They want us to fight each other. That's what they want. They want all that chaos. That's what they want. Well, we're not going to fall for it. We're not stupid like them. They can be stupid, and we'll show how stupid they are. But we're not going to be stupid. Like I said, anybody else goes to another place, tries to do these shenanigans, you're going to get arrested. You go to a concert, a speaker, a restaurant. You go into some restaurant. Hey, why'd you out there with us in the ice thing? Hey, what are you doing there? Getting right in people's food and stuff, breathing on it, right in their face, spitting on them, because I'm a spitter when I talk like this. I'm like, that's why I need 3 feet. I spray people when I'm too close. Not on purpose, just because I'm talking loud. I'm crazy. My teeth are crooked. Goes through the teeth. You got too much saliva, Cat. I know. Be better if I was a woman, right? No, saliva's still good for a man, too, Jabba Jabba. No. Anyways. I get off beat sometimes when I make a joke. Lose my train of thought sometimes. I can't believe this. Like they said, they're looking at this because this is infringing on people's freedom to worship. freedom of religion. And I don't know why. Like I said, they thought they needed to do this. Churches generally have to stay out of politics. That's how they have their tax-exempt status. If they start preaching from the pulpit, you can actually lose your status as a church. So I'm not really sure what Dom Lemon is thinking, because this technically would be politics, and he wants you to also preach against the government, which Jesus basically said you render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. So I'm like, I don't think he's going to be cool with this. Just going by what I know from Jesus, you know. I don't know what logic he's going on. I don't think he's really a Christian. I don't think he's studied the Bible his entire life or gone to Sunday school or church his entire life. But I just love it when non-Christians want to tell you what your God believes. I'm like, you don't even believe in my God. You're just making up what you think he believes because you don't believe in him. If you did, then you would be a Christian like me. But you don't, so you're not. You're trying to use it against Cat. Cat doesn't like that. I don't like it when people try to use things against me. Pisses me off a lot of times, you know. So I had some contact with a friend today that called me. They said, some people are doing shady stuff behind your back, you know, on the CB. I'm like, I know. I don't care. Well, we told them we're not putting up with it. We said, that's bullying. I said, all right, thank you. Makes me feel good, you know. I knew it was bullying, too. But I'm like, I don't worry about this stuff anymore. You know, I care more about what my brother did to me than some freaking yokos I've never even met in my life that, you know, have problems with the fact that they don't have any integrity. It doesn't bother me. I am a man of integrity. I've been one since 1994. Yep, became a man of integrity, promise keeper, and I've been one ever since. I'm like, if I'm going to make a promise, I'm going to keep it. So I won't say it if I'm not going to do it, because I don't want to be a promise breaker. Never. I'm a promise keeper, and I will always be a promise keeper. See, I'm a 30-year promise keeper now. 94 would have been 2024. Be 30-year promise keeper, man. Pretty freaking cool. So now I'm, 32-year promise keeper. Yeah. Shabba. Rock and roll, people. Let's go back to this video. What else are we talking about? I forgot already.
We're seeing anti-ICE protesters showing up at retail giant Target, disrupting people who just want to shop.
No, this is so ridiculous.
Journalist Nick Sorter saw his freedoms attacked, and he was dragged through the street. He was investigating the rampant fraud in Minnesota when his camera was allegedly stolen by a group of Somalians. He spoke to me about the situation and the 911 call he made on Will Kane country.
I called 911, and I'm surprised, Will, that they even bothered responding. Every other time that I've called 911 here, they don't respond. And one of the first questions they ask you on the phone is, are you white, Hispanic, black, or Somali? I don't know why in a situation where you're being dragged by a vehicle down the street and need medical attention because you're bleeding on the hand and on the
why does it matter what your nationality
is? I
is?
don't know what my race has anything to do with your response to that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, an ICE agent was forced to set disruptors straight. He tried to set them straight and tell them they were impeding the arrest of an alleged child sex offender.
We're here to arrest
they don't care.
A child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
They don't care.
No, we're pressing.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane.
Protecting a child sex offender, going after random cameramen under the suspicion of ICE, tech bros working inside of a lunch spot, grilling them like
it's politics. Chaba cha. I'm smarter than my brother, even though I didn't go to Cornell or Harvard.
The House of Worship. Joining us now,
I went to Ivy Tech.
Is U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Rodney Scott. Rodney, thanks for being with us here today. Have you ever seen anything like this? What's happening right now in Minneapolis?
No.
Thank you for having me on, Will. No, not to this level, but the open borders advocates have always pushed harassment and chaos to distract from the actual truth, which is border security is critically important to this country And President Trump understood that more than anyone else. That's why we shut down the border first and stopped this flow of unknowns coming into our country, stopped the narcotics, because it's all connected. What you're seeing in Minneapolis today is because we're doing great interviews at the border of people coming in illegally, finding out who the cartels are, finding out where they're going. And then ICE agents are finding the Somali fraud that's been highlighted. But really all that effort is because we secured the border. We freed up thousands and thousands of law enforcement officers from babysitting illegal aliens to actually doing law and order.
Their actual job. Yeah, instead of basically glorified field trip people. I need some chaperones for this field trip. Going on a bus.
I do try at times to hear what others are saying, Ronnie. I do try to see what they're saying about ICE, about Border Patrol. I myself have met many members of both organizations. For what it's worth, like that man in the video who told those protesters they were attempting to arrest a child sex predator.
Look at them yelling
of both ICE and
in a
CBP
church.
are Latino. Many
people are trying to worship.
Officers are Latino, and yet the accusation is that you are recruiting Joe Schmoes.
Yeah, that guy was dark-skinned. Yeah,
trained, average dudes out there whose only real animating factor is a hatred of minorities.
Yeah, and it's so ridiculous.
There's absolutely nothing about race. This is about nationality. So it's federal law in the United States. If you're coming in from outside of this country, you're supposed to come in with permission. ICE is not arresting anybody or targeting anyone based on the color of their skin or their religion. They're targeting them based on the fact they came into this country illegally, or they overstayed, and then in many cases they've committed crimes once they're in the United States. We're going out and we're targeting the worst of the worst criminals. But if you're hanging out with criminals and you're an illegal alien, we're not going to ignore you.
Exactly!
And to be clear, I'm asking also, because the accusation is being made, you're not hiring, are you, white supremacists? Is it part of the investigation at CBP?
That's so
Absolutely
stupid.
Not. There's very intense vetting.
No evidence.
Sure we're hiring
they just make stuff up.
Fit to be law enforcement officers and represent the United States.
But this whole thing, it's like there's two issues lurking underneath it. And it has nothing to do with criminal illegal aliens. It has to do with President Donald Trump, and it has to do with race. When they always make everything about race. And we mentioned Donald.
They just use the race thing for an excuse.
He was part of the group that barged into that church. And he had this to say about the people that were worshiping inside the church.
A certain degree of racism there, and there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are,
you're entitled.
Religious groups like that. It's not the type of Christianity that I practice. But
you are a Christian?
That entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy, and they think that this country was built for them. That it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom.
I think it was.
Yeah, we wanted religious freedom to practice Judeo-Christian. I didn't know he was a Christian. That's very interesting. I would like him always from now on when he's in a line to just let everybody go in front of him until the end of the day. Just let everyone cut. Don Lemon, you need to practice what you preach. And if you believe that people can just cut in line, then I want you to do that everywhere across the board, Don Lemon. Okay? If you do that, then I will believe that you are going to practice what you preach. But I don't see Don Lemon doing that myself. Not a rich man like Don Lemon. So, yeah. I don't put a lot of cred in what Don Lemon says. Because like I said, he's a partisan hack, okay? And now he's all like trying to defend what he did by saying I was a journalist. If you were a journalist, you would just ask him, what's going on, man? What's going on with all these people? You know, what's going on? I followed them, and I'm like, I didn't know they were going to do this. You followed them? Well, I heard about it, you know. So you're with them? Well, not really. You said you came with them. Oh, kind of, but to cover it, you know. Yeah, but you're pro them, right? let's not get into that. I'm Don Lemon. Cha-cha. This was a great podcast. I love you guys. You love coming here. We're going to see you again next time. We're going to keep doing these because Cat loves them. And I know you guys do too, right? Cha-cha-cha. Yeah, that's a great one. We'll see you next time, all right? Love ya. Bye now.